Safety isn't the goal. Control is who policies actually serve. If not safety, then what? Once you stop measuring policy by intent, a harder question comes into focus. If these systems aren't actually making people safer, what are they designed to do when safety becomes a performance metric? In January's Follow the Money series, we traced how funding flows through anti trafficking efforts into law enforcement agencies, multi agency task forces, and nonprofit programs. What gets rewarded isn't long-term safety or stability. It's visibility, arrest numbers, large-scale stings, press conferences with coordinated messaging and dramatic statistics. These are the outputs that justify continued funding and political support. Safety, in this framework, becomes something that is performed rather than experienced. The conditions, hidden inside, help. By February, in our exploration of care versus control, we looked more closely at how support is structured. Help is rarely offered without conditions. It often comes tied to compliance, mandatory diversion programs, required participation in services, ongoing surveillance, and behavioral expectations defined by institutions. Access to resources, housing, financial assistance, legal relief, can depend on whether someone performs the right version of victimhood or recovery. This isn't incidental, it's structural. Conditional support doesn't just assist, it regulates. Then in March, the pink patriarchy pushed the conversation into who legitimizes these systems. Institutional feminism has played a critical role in framing punitive policies as protective ones. When organizations with cultural authority adopt the language of empowerment while supporting criminalization, they reshape the narrative. Harm becomes harder to name, critique becomes easier to dismiss, and policies that function as systems of control are rebranded as tools of liberation. Case study: when rescue looks like enforcement, nowhere is this clearer than in real-world enforcement. Take Operation Trade Secrets in Hillsborough County. Publicly, it was presented as a targeted effort to combat exploitation and protect vulnerable individuals. The messaging emphasized rescue, partnership, and community safety, but operationally, it functioned as a large-scale enforcement action, resulting in arrests, public exposure, and entry into the criminal legal system. The benefits were measurable: increased funding justification, media coverage, and institutional visibility. The costs were carried by the people arrested through criminal records, financial strain, and long-term instability. Two definitions of safety, one reality. This is where the definitions of safety begin to diverge in ways that are impossible to ignore. For institutions, safety often means compliance, visibility, and control. It means being able to monitor, regulate, and demonstrate action. For workers, safety looks very different. It means autonomy, the ability to screen clients, the ability to work in environments that reduce risk, the ability to access resources without punishment or surveillance. These definitions are not just different, they are in direct conflict. Follow the power, not the promise. And that's the core of the problem. If the people most affected by a policy are not safer, if their risk increases, their autonomy decreases, and their options narrow, while institutions gain more power, more funding, and more legitimacy, then safety was never the primary goal. The question that comes next. So the question shifts again. If safety isn't what's being created, where is the risk actually going? If we want policies that actually reduce harm, we have to measure them where it matters, in people's lives, not on paper. This series is about closing that gap, naming the consequences, and refusing to ignore who pays the price when policy and reality don't align.